Okay, good morning, everyone. We are on the Mishnah on Samach Ches Amud Aleph. It's interesting to point out that for the next little while, you may notice on the side of your Gemara, I don't know exactly when it ends, it's at least 15 dafim or something, it says Nuschos Rashi Ksav Yad. Somehow the parish of Rashi was misplaced, was lost, and then they have a Ksivas Yad. So the Rashi that we call Rashi is not really Rashi for the next little while. So when we do Rashi, we'll do the, I don't know what the minhag is because I never learned this before.
Maybe he just ran away from his father.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the minhag is, but I was using the Nusach Rashi Ksiv Yad. Everybody should have it there. Yeah. It should be on the left or the right. Do they have it in the Steinsaltz over there? I don't understand those. So it's on the left side or on the right side, wherever it is. So Nusach Rashi Ksiv Yad. That's what I'll call Rashi just for now.
What Ksiv Yad? What does that mean?
So this is regular Tosfos on the left. The Rashi on the right is something, and then there's a Nusach Rashi Ksiv Yad on the left.
What's Ksiv Yad?
Ksiv Yad means that they like the handwritten, like they must have found the manuscript at some point. The notes.
Oh, they did find it.
It sounds like it again. That's what it says on the bottom here. I have a note. Mizos HaMishnah Amar Reish Lakish Apigol Vanotzar on Daf Ayin Ches 10 blot. Eino mipirish Rashi Zal ki b'chol asfarim echsivas yad eino kilashon hadefus. Harbe l'shonas maviyin hatosfos b'shem Rashi ve'enam bitfus uv'sifrei hayadim. I guess he knows because Tosfos quotes Rashi. Says Rashi says this, and Rashi never says that in this Rashi. So it must be the Rashi that we have, etc. Lashon Rashi Rishamti b'chutz. Barcelona dechol mashnir shamalav hu minischos Rashi ksiv yad ulaktu kulam el midur nischos Rashi gam asaf midur zed diburim harbe sheshel fninu shalosh is that fine. Okay, Zak the Mishnah. Kol apsulin shemalku malikasam psula. We're going to have different things. We know that there's malika, there's shchita. The question is, when you do the inappropriate thing, so as we know in the past, and as we'll see, when you do something inappropriate, when you don't check it the right way, when you don't do malika the right way, so there's two possibilities. There's a possibility that everything is ruined forever, or it's ruined, and lechatchila you shouldn't put it onto the mizbeach, but if you put it onto the mizbeach, then you can actually leave it on the mizbeach. And as we'll see, it's going to be a connection between things that you can leave on the mizbeach and things that if you eat them, you will not become tameh. Because again, if you take a regular animal that dies or is not shechted properly, it's nevela. And if you eat the nevela, then you become tameh. So the Gemara is going to make a connection and say anything that, if it's put on the mizbeach, even after the fact, needs to be removed, if you eat that thing, that's considered to be nevela, and you will become tameh, bebeis habliya, which means as soon as it hits your throat. And anything that when it's put on the mizbeach, even though it shouldn't have necessarily been put there, when it's put on the mizbeach, it does not have to be removed. We will connect and say those type of things, if in fact you eat them, even though they were in shachted, malikad, whatever, correctly, in our case, malikad correctly, even though they shouldn't have been brought on the mizbeach and it wasn't quote-unquote 100% kosher avoda, if you eat them, it still takes it out of the parsha of nevela, and you will not become tameh. So if it's in the parsha of nevela, you become tameh, and you can't eat it, obviously. If it's in the parsha of nevela, then you do become tameh, and then it's a problem. Kol apsulin shemalku milikasam psula. Any pasol person who's not supposed to do malika, a non-kohen, let's say, or a kohen who's an onain, milikasam psula. They can't do the malika. If they do it, they ruin the malika. And again, seemingly they were in yotze, whatever korban they were trying to bring. However, ve'eno metame bebeis habliya. However, again, since if that korban which was malikad inappropriately, you didn't be Mekayim, whatever mitzvah you needed to be Mekayim with the Malika. However, if it was brought on the Mizbeach, you would not have to remove it. Therefore, if you eat that animal, it's no longer in the category of Nevela, and the Malika that was inappropriate was at least good enough to get rid of the title of Nevela for this animal. And therefore, it's not Metame in the Beis Habliya if you eat it. Malach Bismol, similarly, if you do the malika with your left hand, o balayla, or a night, it's supposed to be done with your right hand and during the day, or both of those things as well, inappropriately done, but if you eat from them, not nevela. Shachar chulin bifnim v'kotchim b'chutz, einon mitamos bebeis habliya. And similarly, going to shchita for a minute, we know that where's chulin supposed to be shachted? B'chutz, outside, in the courtyard. Where is chulin supposed to? Where is kachim supposed to be shechted? In the courtyard. So if you do the opposite and you shech chulin inside, and or you shech kachim outside, again you did the inappropriate thing. However, since if you would put that animal on the mizbeach, we would not make you remove it. Therefore, if you eat that animal now, again you did a kosher shechita. If you eat that animal, you will not become tamei. Malak bisakin. However, if you do malika with a knife, how do you do malika with a knife? Look at the Rashi on the left. Or I don't know if it's on your right. Says.
Instead of using his nail, use the knife.
What?
Instead of using his nail, use the knife.
Right, but what does that mean, malika with a knife? Malika with a knife would be shechita, no?
But
what's malika with a knife?
From the back of the neck.
So excellent. So malika, lo malika v'lo shechita. He sharei berosho shel sakin malik. Da malika b'tziporin v'chotech shedra. You have that? You have the Rashi? So it sounds like not necessarily on the back. It could be that you did malika. So you're saying it's on the back, but Rashi is also saying it's also being done with the edge of the knife, not with the regular part of the knife. It sounds like you're stabbing it.
Oh, I see the point
so
of the knife.
The point is that you do, right, you're using the point of the knife, so therefore you're quote-unquote not even doing a shechita. You're not doing malika, and you're not doing shechita. Because again, had you done a regular shechita, that wouldn't be called malika besakin, that would just called shechita, which is not supposed to be done, but we just said that if you do the shechita, it's not going to ruin it. But if you do malak besakin, if you do malika with the sakin, or if you do malak chulin bifnim v'kachin b'chutz, shechita in the wrong place, it doesn't ruin it in the sense that it's not considered to be nevela, you don't become tamei. But if you do malika on the wrong finger in the wrong place, what do you do malika on? You only do malika on kachim bifnim. So if you do malika on chulin bifnim or on kachim b'chutz, or if you do malach besakin, so all of those things are going to be metame bebeis habliya. What else is going to be metame bebeis habliya? Torin shelo higiyas manan. What's that? Turtle dove that's too young. Ubnei Yona sha'avar zmanan, and a bnei Yona that's too old. Sometimes you don't want somebody too young, and you don't want too old. You just want just right. Turtle dove is too young, and a pigeon that's too old. What's a turtle dove that's too young? Rashi says, Gedolim ksherim ketanim psulin, bnei Yona ketanim ksherim gedolim psulin, the opposite. And the Rishonim seem to point out that it's the exact opposite. It means that whatever is good for this is bad for that, and whatever is bad for that is good for this. What is it? Me'emas torin kasherin, one of the torin kasher, misha yazhivu, when their feathers become goldish. And the opposite is me'emas b'nei Yona psulin, when are b'nei Yona too old, one of the pigeons too old, misha yazhivu kanafayim atzuhuvo saviv atzavar, when the feathers around the neck turn yellow. Take an educated guess. How old do you think the pigeons and the turtle doves are at this age?
1 year old. 1 year or 2 years.
4 or 5 days after they hatch. Thank you to the Rabbi Steinsaltz. So those are the beauty things about Rabbi Steinsaltz. He tells you these things. So it's about 4 or 5 days after they hatch. So the first, so you can use a torin only after 5 days, and a bnei Yona you can only use for the first 4 or 5 days after it hatches. Which again is fascinating, but again, that's the halacha. So it's the exact opposite. Once one becomes fine, the other becomes bad. Once one becomes bad, the other one becomes fine. Sveiter, so then again, if you take those and you do malika on those, so if you do them in the wrong time, then it's going to ruin it and you can't eat it. Shipsha gufa, sheyifsha gufa, I think it's sheyavsha, or sheyifsha gufa, the wing was cut off. Shenismate eina, the eye was poked out. Vishenikta aragla, the leg was torn off. Mitame bebeis habliya. So again, those things are all mitame. What's the difference? What's the difference between the first cases where psul does the malika, or you do malika bismol or balayla? What's the difference?
One's with the ovate and the other one's with the object.
Says the Gemara, Ze'aklal Mishnah, Kol shepsulo bekodesh eino mitame bebeis habliya, as Gershon is saying, Lo haya psulo bekodesh mitame bebeis habliya. If there was something inherently wrong with the object, if the object wasn't kosher when it walked into the Beis HaMikdash or was carried into the Beis HaMikdash, then it's going to be ruined. But if it was fine, perfectly fit to be a korban, but you in the process of the avoda ruined it, so then it's going to be a problem. Now, which one seems to be an exception? Well, kol apsulin shemalku, again, that's a problem with the person, so the korban is fine. Malak bismol, the korban's fine. Malak balayla, the korban's fine. So those things, again, after the fact, if you eat them, you don't become tamei. Shachet chulin bifnim v'kachim b'chutz, again, the korban's fine. Malak bisakin is an interesting one, because malak bisakin, the korban was fine, but you did malika b'sakin. What's the problem there? The problem there is that it's nevela. The problem there is that if you do malika, at least the other ones by shchita, at least you have a kosher shchita. But over here, when you do malika b'sakin, that's not a real malika. And again, similarly, malak chulin b'fnim v'kachin b'chutz, as opposed to shchita in the wrong place. At least shchita in the wrong place, you did a shchita. By the malika in the wrong place, so it's not considered malika, then you have a dead animal that died by being killed, which is asur to eat. But the general klal is that if there's a problem with the korban, then even after the fact, it will not be okay and it'll make you tameh. And if it wasn't a problem with the korban, it was a problem with the process. Once you brought it into the Beis HaMikdash, then even after the fact, it will not make you tameh. Amarav, small v'layla ein mitamim bebeis habliya. So that seems to be like the Mishnah. Small and layla again are not done appropriately, but if you do them after the fact and you eat it, it will not be considered that you ate nevela. Zar v'sakin mitamim bebeis habliya. Is that like our Mishnah? Zar v'sakin mitamim bebeis habliya. Sakin is mitamim bebeis habliya, but a zar, a non-kohen, seemingly what did we say in the Mishnah? Kol apsulin shamalku milikasam psula ve'eno mitamim bebeis habliya. If a zar does it, so then what's the problem? The sakin, we said, is a problem because at the end of the day, the sakin, you don't have a kosher shchita. That I understand why when you eat it, you're going to be mitame. But a zar is not mitame in bebeis habli according to the Mishnah. Rav's arguing on our Mishnah. Our Mishnah just said that if a zar or any kol apsulin who do it, doesn't ruin it. And over here he's saying it, that it ruins it. Says in Gemara, Maishna smol de isle hechshera b'yom HaKippurin, v'layla isle hechshera b'evarim, ufidarim, zarnami isle hechshera b'shchitas. Now the Gemara is asking a question. The Gemara is saying, I don't understand. Why should zar be a problem? Again, I understand l'chachila why a zar can't do the shchita or the malika, but why after the fact should a zar be a problem? If you eat that, why are you eating nevela? At the end of the day, the Gemara is assuming, further to our discussion in the Mishnah, the Gemara is assuming that part of the reason that after the fact it's not nevela is because he still did an avoda. And if he still did an avoda to it, even if it wasn't the proper avoda, at the end of the day, it's still going to be good enough to take it out of the parsha of nevela. So yes, you were supposed to do it with your right hand, but when you do it with your left hand, at least there is a situation throughout the year where if you do the avoda with your left hand, it's kosher. And even lechatchili, do it with your left hand. On Yom Kippur, when you hold the kaf, when you hold the spoon with your left hand. Similarly, balayla, you don't shaft anything balayla. You did it inappropriately balayla, but at least there is part of the avoda that's done at layla, which is when you burn the limbs and the fats. But that said, we know that there is a part of avoda that's kosher with a zar as well. If a zar does the shchita, it's perfectly fine. So why if the zar does the shchita, it's perfectly fine, but if he does the malika, it's going to be so extreme that it's going to be ruined that it's like you eating nevela. Says the Gemara, shchita lav avodahi, because shchita is not a real avoda. Why is shchita not an avoda? How do you know shchita is not an avoda? Says Rashi, she'af bechulin hi noheges. Yes, it's quote unquote an avoda, but it can't be considered to be an avoda if it's done even for chulin. When you want to shecht a regular animal to eat it, you do it shchita. So you can't say that shchita, the act of shchita is an avoda if it applies, and not only applies, is necessary by a regular animal. So shchita lav avodahi, if it's not an avoda, therefore what? Therefore you did something totally wrong, and therefore lemaisa you become tameh if you eat it. V'lo, is shchita not an avoda? V'amar Rabbi Zera, shchitas para bizar is psula. Shchitas para what? Aduma. The shchita of the para aduma, if it's done with a zar, it's psula. I mean, even though a regular para, if it's shafted by a zar, it's okay. But you do see that there's at least one aspect of shchita where if you do it with a where if you do it with a zar, it's going to be a problem. So what do you see? You see clearly that shchita, at least somewhat, is an avodah, or else why would it be asur with a zar? Says Gemara, machvi Rav Allah. So Rav explains why shchita's para bizar psula, because it says in the pasuk by a para aduma, it says elazar. It says it has to be shechted by Elazar HaKohen, v'shachat Elazar HaKohen, and we know, of course, DAF YOMI is always not coincidental. Zos chukas HaTorah, and it says that Elazar needs to do the shechita. It's at least once a week where we have that. Zos chukas HaTorah and Elazar needs to do the shechita. Therefore, you see that it's actually a chok. It's a chok that shchita par bizar is going to be psula. If you see that you have a case where a shchita by a zar is going to be pasul, then you see that shchita in fact is an avodah, or else why would it be pasul bizar? Says the Gemara, shani para de kache bedek habayisi. No, it's a total chok, because para aduma is totally different than a regular shchita. Where is para aduma shachted? Where? Where?
Outside the...
Where? On Har HaZeisim. Shachted on Har HaZeisim. And therefore, we're saying that paraduma is an exception. Since it's not shechted in the Beis HaMikdash, it's a total exception. Those chukas HaTorah applies across the board. That's why it needs a kohen. But in general, you don't need a kohen for shechita. Therefore, we still consider shechita not to be an avoda. Therefore, if you eat it, you're going to be eating nevela. V'lo kol dehenu. But do we at least not have a kal v'chomer? It's the Mount of no, it's the Har Zesim. V'lo kol dehenu. The Gemara says, but I understand, at the end of the day, can you make a kal v'chomer? That if you're requiring a paraduma, which is not shechted, it's called kachay bedek habayis, since it's not shechted in the Beis HaMikdash. It only has monetary sanctity. So if something that's shechted outside the Beis HaMikdash has to be done by a kohen, wouldn't you have made a kal v'chomer that it has to be shechted by a kohen inside? Not that, again, l'chachila, we know that l'chachila should be shechted by a kohen. That's the point, that l'chachila should be shechted by a kohen inside of the Beis HaMikdash. So it's not comfortable to suggest that shechita is not an avoda, because it's done by a kohen. Says Gemara, Amar Rav Shisha Brei de Rav Aidi, Midei dehava maros nagam delav avodehi, ubaya kahuna. So we see the fact that just because you were trying to prove, because something needs a kahuna, and we're going to say that even lechatchila we agree that shechita needs a kahuna, because if you need to have a kahuna to shat the paraduma even outside the Beis HaMikdash, lechatchila you need a kahuna inside. So we want to prove that the fact that it needs a kohen shows that shechita is an avoda. If shechita is an avoda, then if you do the shechita, at the very least it should be what? If a zar does a shechita, even though it doesn't work, at the very least, if you eat it, you should not become tamei. Says the Gemara, the fact that a kohen does something doesn't make it an avoda. The fact that we require a kohen to do something doesn't make it avoda, because where do we see? We see that maras negaim. We see that you have to bring a nega to a kohen. Nobody's going to say that showing a kohen the mara nega is considered to be an avoda. Therefore, one can suggest that the shechita of a kohen, even outside the Beis HaMikdash and even inside the Beis HaMikdash, that aspect is not considered to be quote unquote an avoda. If it's not an avoda, then it doesn't matir after the fact the animal that you shechted inappropriately, and therefore you become tamei bebeis habliya. Says Gemara, v'neilaf mi bama. So why don't we learn from a bama? What's from a bama? Says Rashi, nema milika zar, that if the zar does malika, im also lo tered, again, it's connected to, if you put it on the mizbeach, you shouldn't have to take it down. Shri zar kasher b'bama davodasa b'bechos linantuma lo tatame. We know clearly that a bama, which is outside of the Beis HaMikdash, a zar can do. So if a zar can do a bama, at the very least we should say that if a zar does inside the Beis HaMikdash, at the very least it shouldn't ruin it. It should say that if you put it on the mizbeach, you don't have to take it off. And therefore if you eat it, you don't become tamei. Says the Gemara, mi bama lo yalaf. We can't compare the bama to the Beis HaMikdash. The bama is by bamas, and the Beis HaMikdash is by Beis HaMikdashes. And even by bama, even though a zar worked by a bama, a zar will not work by a Beis HaMikdash even after the fact, and therefore if you eat the animal, you'll become tamei. Says the Gemara, v'lo, do we not compare bamas to Beis HaMikdashes? V'hatanya, minayin liyotzei she'im ala lo yered. How do you know? Again, there are certain animals that when you put on, you don't have to remove them. One of the animals that if you put on, you don't have to remove is if it was yotzei from the azara. If you took the animal out of the courtyard, really, you're not supposed to put it on the mizbeach, you ruin the animal. How do you know that if you put it on the mizbeach, b'diavad, it works? You don't have to take it off? From bama. Why sharei yotzei kasher b'bama? Because we have a precedent that if something comes out of a courtyard and then it goes on the mizbeach, it's fine. Bama. Because why? The whole thing of bama, every single korban that's brought on a bama is considered to have been taken out of the courtyard. Because there is no courtyard by a bama. It's done in the middle of nowhere. So just like you see over there that you compare bama to the Beis HaMikdash, you should compare bama to the Beis HaMikdash here, and just like a zar can bring on a bama, you should say that if a zar brings on the Beis HaMikdash, at the very least, it's going to be okay after the fact. Says the Gemara, Tana azos Torah sa'ola samichle. No, the whole thing is Gzeras HaKosov, and because of that Gzeras HaKosov, again, that Gzeras HaKosov says that in terms of olas, there are going to be certain halachas that you can put, that you shouldn't put on the mizbeach, but if you put on the mizbeach, you don't have to remove. But in terms of making you tamei, we don't have any Gzeras HaKosov for that, and therefore in terms of making you tamei, you will become tamei if you eat something that is zar shechted. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan argues, and he says like our Mishnah, Rabbi Yochanan Amar, zar ein mitamei abeis habliya. A zar is not mitamei by a beis habliya, and again, if a zar shachs, so then you eat it, you don't become tamei. Sakin is mitamei beis habliya. Rabbi Yochanan says exactly like our Mishnah. Tanan, and again, it makes sense because Tanan kol apsulin shamalku milikasam psula However, if you eat it, you don't become tamei. Bishlam Rabbi Yochanan, kol asuye zar. What does kol mean? All psulin. That means a pasol kohen, an onen kohen, and a zar. So kol includes a zar, and it's perfect because it says in our Mishnah, eino matame bebeis habliya. Elo l'Rav kol asuye mai. According to Rav, what does kol mean? All psulin. If you eat it, so you don't become tamei. What does kol imply? Lav lasuye small v'layla. It includes small and lila. What's the problem with that? Small v'layla behedyaktani. It can't be kol apsulin shemalkum likasam psula means small and tamei, because right after it says malak besmolo belayla, it's going to be okay. Says the Gemara, Tani v'hadam mefarish. It reads it and then it explains it afterwards. And then again, Tashma zaklal kol shay psula bekodesh ina matame begadim abeis habliya. If it was psula bekodesh bishma yochanan kol asuye zar el l'Rav lasuye mai. We'll pick up here. It's a whole new sugya tomorrow. Pick up on the top of Samach Testament Aleph.